All right. Good night. Good evening, everybody. It is right on the hour according to my watch. So we will go ahead and get started with our October roundtable. Just a couple housekeeping items before we begin. Remember that this session is going to be recorded. So if you are a youth, you'll need to black out your screen because this will be posted online on outdoorethics-bsa.org. Within a day or two from the meeting tonight. That way you can access it, you can return to it and reference this anytime you would like. Also, please make sure that you are muted, especially when we do the Pledge of Allegiance and the oath and the law. In a second, there's nothing worse than 500 people trying to say the same thing at the same time on Zoom with delay. So we'll have you mute yourselves. And also while the presentation is ongoing, if you could keep your sound muted, that would be much appreciated. That way it won't distract from the presenters. There will be time at the end of the presentation to ask some questions. You can also put those in the chat function. We will be monitoring the chat function to make sure that we don't miss anyone's questions as the presentation goes along. With that said, let's go ahead and go to the slide for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Please make the scout or the proper salute and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and let's go ahead and go to the oath and the law. Please make the scout sign. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And the Scout law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2. And with that said, we'll turn it over to Barbara for our agenda and the presenters for the remainder of the program.
Welcome. Our roundtable agenda tonight is we're going to be covering a safety moment called Outdoor Codes, Safety for the Land. What is a work group? Cub Scout Initiatives Work Group, Cub Scout Activities, Akela's Council, Big Cat Weekend, Traveling Day Camp, Resources, and Outdoor Ethics Guides and Advisors videos.
For our safety moment tonight, we'll be doing the Cub Scout Outdoor Code, which is the safety for the land. So if you would, please repeat after me on the bold letters, and then Sean will fill in with the description. So let's make the Scout sign, Cub Scout sign. As an American, I will do my best to be clean in my outdoor manners.
Cub Scout takes care of the outdoors and keeps the outdoors clean. The Cub Scout knows that putting marks on buildings, trees, or natural objects causes permanent damage.
Be careful with fire.
A Cub Scout may enjoy a campfire only with adult leaders. A Cub Scout knows not to play with matches and lighters.
Be considerate in the outdoors.
A Cub Scout shares our outdoor places and treats everything on the land and in the water with respect.
Be conservation minded.
A Cub Scout works to restore the health of the land so others may enjoy, live, and learn from it as part of the web of life.
Welcome. My name is Barbara Saunders. I'm from the Piedmont Council in North Carolina. For the last year, I've had the privilege of being part of the Outdoor Ethics Cub Scout Initiatives Work Group. You might ask, what is a work group? A work group is a small group of scouting volunteers led by a committee that focuses on a specific need or topic. The members of the work group are recruited by the committee lead and do not need to be approved by the National Council. Work groups allow our committee to use the expertise of our scouting volunteers in the field to help accomplish our goals. The Cub Scout Initiatives Work Group includes some committee members as well as volunteers from outside the committee. The volunteers that have served are Paula Church from the Longhorn Council in Texas, Sean Spencer from Greater New York Council, and myself. Our committee members have been Paula Booth from California Inland Empire Council and Dave O'Leary from West Massachusetts Council. Now, what was the Cub Scout Initiatives Work Group's goal? Our goal has been to develop a plan to improve support for the outdoor ethics in the Cub Scout program. And how will this goal aid our Cub Scout leaders? First, by aligning existing program activities that pair with the adventures, by providing age-appropriate activities for Lion all the way through the Era of Light Scouts, and to provide resource material for den and pack leaders and Cub and family camp staff as well. Our Cub Scout activities, the activities, it says the outdoor ethics activities for each rank were created to assist Cub Scout leaders. The activities are rank and age appropriate. Some will be paired with adventure requirements, and others will be used to teach a leave no trace principle or part of the outdoor code, whenever a leader chooses to do so.
So here's an example of a template that we use to create the Cub Scout activities. We created a template for each of the ranks. This one is for Lion, and each activity has or indicates the rank and in the upper left box, and it also is color coded per rank. Then on the right top box is where the adventure is listed. Then we have a box for the requirement, and we try to keep it very simple, one requirement per activity. But sometimes there were activities, two different requirements that could be covered with one requirement. So then next we had which outdoor ethic did this cover? Was it part of the outdoor code, or was it a principle for leave no trace? And that's indicated in the next boxes. And then how long the activity will last, the materials that are needed to conduct the activity, and also the directions for the den leader or even the den chief. And finally, at the bottom, probably the most important part is the debrief. It's the questions that are asked at the end of the activity that tie that activity, tie that game back to either the leave no trace principle or the piece of the outdoor code or the requirement. And we have left these blank templates so that they will be available to anybody out there. We know there are a lot of great den leaders out there that have wonderful ideas. And so you'll be able to submit your own ideas for activities for outdoor ethics. And the actual templates will have an email address where you can send those.
All right, so here's a quick example of one of the Lion ones. You see the adventurer's mountain lion. It's requirement number 3, where it says to demonstrate the understanding of respect for animals and nature when participating on a learning hike. Yes, we're taking the lions out even this early. There's no problem starting them early to get them outdoors, get them comfortable, get them having fun. You can see the materials. There's really nothing. Duration can be up to 30 minutes. Some of the best things is to, and one of my favorites is to have your scouts down under directions there, have your scouts pick their favorite wild animal, give them a minute or two to describe how they would feel if we came into their home and disrespected them or damaged their property. If we destroyed the beaver lodge, or if we, as all Cub Scouts like to do when they go to camp, eat all the berries around the campsite, then the bears and the other animals can't eat. And then, as Paula was saying, we have the debrief at the bottom, and we'll touch on a couple more in detail as we go along.
I'm going to share with you the tiger. It's the Tiger Den. The adventure that we're going to talk about is tigers in the wild. The requirement that we're going to be covering in this specific activity is requirement number 3C. The outdoor ethic part that we're going to make sure we cover, or that we're going to cover with this, is the leave no trace principle for kids. Leave what you find. The duration will take about 40 minutes. The materials are listed there for you to clearly know exactly what you need before you start. The directions and explain how to do this, how to make a leaf rubbing. And then after this, there is a debrief that gives you the chance to talk to the kids about what they've learned and what they've seen. And you'll notice in the directions that the thing that we do is make sure that we tell them we're collecting leaves, but we're collecting leaves that are already on the ground so that we are leave no trace active. So Paula, did you hear about the Cub Scout who bought a sleeping bag?
Sorry, I had to unmute. Yeah, she spent 3 weeks trying to wake it up. So I'm going to be covering next a very quick look at a wolf activity. And this one is for Paws on the Path. And requirement number 4, you're going on a hike and they have to recite the outdoor code and leave no trace principles for kids before they go. And then after hiking, discuss how you showed respect for wildlife. And this is a very simplified version of the ethics game, if you've ever seen that. And these are, I just put a little piece of what the cards look like on here. And these actually match what is in the wolf book. So it matches up with their requirement. There's other activities in here that you can do for the reciting of the outdoor code and the leave no trace principles for kids. Hey, Sean, what did the light bulb say when it was turned off?
I'm delighted. And with that, we'll move on to one of the bear activities. Here in the bears, 9 years old, 8.5, 9.5. These are kids that are really starting to get into the meat and potatoes of the Cub Scouting program. The Adventures Bear Necessities, this is one of the required adventures for the bears. We're looking specifically at requirement number 4, where the Bear Scout is to help set up a tent, determine a good spot for it, and explain to your den leader why you picked that spot. You know, why not on the hillside? Why not under the dead tree? All those sorts of things. The outdoor ethic, which part of the outdoor code here? Anyway, what we're looking at is the leave no trace principle, choose the right path. You know, choose the right site, choose the right path. The activity is called the surface hopscotch game. And the basis for this comes out of the Bigfoot playbook called surface hopscotch. The duration can be up to an hour, depending on how your kids are getting into it, how many kids you have, and how big a path you might make for the scouts to have to get across. And it's a combination of memory and learning about what is a durable surface and what is not. So as the scouts, you lay out the cards on the blank side, and on a grid of at least 5 by 5, depending on how many kids you have. If you have a small den, 5 by 5 is fine. If you have a large den, you may need to go 8 by 8, 10 by 10 to make it more interesting, more challenging. Make sure each row has several durable surfaces listed. Some of the things we're looking for, and what is the durable surface? You're looking for rocks, grass, sand, snow if it's deep enough, all those things that make up the appropriate durable surface. So first thing is they have to, flip a card. Is it a durable surface or not? Well, if they identified incorrectly, then they have to stop and wait. If they get it right, then they can move forward and the game continues. The object is to get across to the other side by crossing on all of the durable surfaces So like you see, it's memory mixed with learning how to distinguish. And in the debrief, what you're really looking for from your scouts is what are the best surfaces on which we should be setting up our tents? Where should we be looking? And why is it really important that we set the tent on that durable surface and not out in the middle of a wildflower meadow or somewhere else? And those are some of the keys that you're really looking for in this one. Hey, Barbara, why'd the Cub Scout bury his flashlight?
Because the batteries were dead.
Oh, nuts.
Nuts.
Let's look at a Weeblo's activity. This one is cast iron chef. The requirement is number 3, and they're going to be using tinder and kindling and fuel wood to demonstrate how to build a fire. So what we're going to work on is an outdoor ethic that is a leave no trace principle. Be careful with fire. The duration's going to give us about 15 to 30 minutes. The activity is firewood gathering. It's out of Bigfoot Playbook. The materials you don't need. You get to find them when you're outside. And the directions are easy to follow, teaching the kids what they're looking for, the sizes to build that they need to use when they're building a fire. So, and the debrief will follow right after that to make sure that they understand why that's the way we do it. Sean.
All righty. Now looking at one of the Arrow of Light activities. As you can see, as we go along, they get a little more involved. We put a little more instruction in each of the templates to make it easier for you, the den leader, in order to kind of pick and choose what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. We wanted to give you enough information to, really take and run with it. Here we're talking the outdoor adventurer, which is one of those which is really important at the Arrow of Light level to get them ready to cross over to the troop. Looking at requirement 4, reciting the outdoor code and the leave no trace principles for kids from memory. Here's where hopefully they have been paying attention as they moved up from lion and tiger and so forth to get there so that they can tell you about it from their own head, not just, regurgitating something that we said. It relates to all parts of the outdoor code. It relates to all the principles of leave no trace for kids. One of the really good things that we have here is the ethics game. It can take you 30, 45 minutes. There are situation cards that you can use from the Bigfoot's Playbook. The information is posted at that link, gives you a link to all of the cards, all of the activity program cards for Bigfoot's Playbook. So when you hit on that one, it'll give you all of them, not just the ones for the outdoor adventure for that activity, but it'll give you the bunch of them. Get the scouts together, talk about what you're going to do just a little bit, introduce it, see if they understand what is an ethic, briefly, then do the activity. And then when they're done, see if they have a better idea of what an ethic is and why it's important for us to really pay attention to and not just say the outdoor code and the principles, but to put them here and to use them here every time we go out, whether it's in a local park, whether it's on a camp out, whether it's in camp or what have you, on a schoolyard. But those are some of the keys that we really want to do. Hey, Paula, how do trees get on the internet?
They log on.
Oh, wah, wah, wah.
So in addition to our activities, we created a couple of little posters. This one is the Leave No Trace Principles for Kids. And for those of you that may have been around outdoor ethics and Leave No Trace for a while and have not been involved with Cub Scouts for a while, you may not realize that these principles are slightly different than what we may be used to. And they're the same principle, they're just written in a simpler language, easier to understand words for Cub Scouts. If you just look at the first one, instead of plan ahead and prepare, it's know before you go. that's something that's really easy for a Cub Scout to remember. So we've added a poster for this. And Matt, do you have a video for us?
I do. If you'll let me share my screen real quick, I will do that. So one of the awesome things I get to do is I get to be a den leader for all of my kids. I have a wolf, a bear, a weeblo, and an arrow, and they all just happen to be the only one in their age group. So they're all my kids. But we went for a hike not too long ago, and while we were on top of the mountain, they wanted to make a video of themselves saying the leave no trace principles for kids. So here's that video. Hey, Aiden and Addie, tell me the principles of leave no trace.
Okay. Number 1, know it before you go. Number 2, choose the right path. Number 3, trash your trash. Number 4, leave what you find. Number 5, be careful with fire. Number 6, respect wild. Number 7, be kind to other visitors.
Good job. All right, back to you.
Okay, for some reason that bumped me all the way out, but I will get right back to it. Okay, and our second poster that we did is the outdoor code, and this has the Cub Scout description on it. And so that will be available after the roundtable as well. So Paula, why do bees hum?
Because they don't know the words. Wah, wah, wah. Matt,
Yes,
do you have the link?
I do. So I will be posting in the chat a link to our survey. If you would all go ahead and fill that out as quickly as possible, that helps us to improve these roundtables and know what you're looking for and get your feedback.
BSA Leave No Trace Master.
Okay, Sean.
All righty. Well, as some of you may have heard or may not have heard, there are going to be several Cub Scout elective adventures that are going to be retired. If you've already started working on them, that's fine. You can finish them up, but they're going to be vanishing very soon. These are ones that weren't used all that often or often enough. So you can see here in the tiger family, there's 4 of them. Wolf, there's 4. Bear, there's 4. Weeblos and Arrow of Light, there are 7, which is really kind of sad because some of my kids have earned all of those, but evidently they and some of yours may not have been enough to do it. There are others that are being worked on currently with the Cub Scouting Advancement Committee that are being reviewed. So look for them in the next year or 2 down the road. But these guys here, if you want your scouts to get them, start working on them now so they can finish them before they're completely gone early next year.
Okay, so Okay, so that's not there. Must have changed something. Okay, so Paula, I had 2 slides left. Is that not correct? Or are they at the very end?
They're probably at the end.
Okay, Sandy? Sandy has a nice slide to introduce herself. Sandy, are you here?
I'm here. If I could
Yes!
So I've stopped sharing, so you can.
I got
Yes.
it.
Sandy
Okay.
Smith joins us from the Crossroads of the West Council, and she is very energetic.
Well, thank you, Paula. I'm so grateful for this invite. I've been asked to talk about Akela's Council, and it was something I had heard of for many years, but I have been participating in troop activities for the last 10 years, and so did not get down to any kind of scout level items. But last year, I was actually invited to join a pack. So I was very excited to finally attend Akela's Council. I got my general leader specific training done and my outdoor leadership skills training for Baloo just this year. So I felt like Akela's Council was just what I needed to really kickstart my knowledge about working with dens. And so I'd like to share a little bit with you about my experience. Akela's Council is something that the Utah councils have been running for a couple of years. We're actually on Akela's Council number 39. So just a few. There have been some summers where multiple courses were held. So it's not that we've been doing it for 39 years, we've just held 39 courses. So I was just not in the in crowd. So I wanted to join. We all know what that feels like. So if you haven't heard of Akela's Council as a training for Cub leaders, let me begin and tell you a little bit about it. I got this awesome pin and took this picture just for this slide. So what is Akela's Council? Before I tell you that, here's my little introduction slide. As Paula mentioned, I'm on Pack 72, a member of the Committee over Advancement, my hometown, Spanish Fork, Utah, and I am a Leave No Trace trainer as well as a master educator. Miss Paula Booth was my mentor on my master educator course in 2014, so I'm happy to work with her again. And then, like I mentioned, my first time attending Akela's Council was in 2021. So here is just a little bit of information about it that I gleaned from the Akela's Council website of who should attend. So as we're recruiting individuals to come to Akela's Council, we're looking for energetic, ready to learn, ready to amp their program up when it comes to being in Cub Scouting. Anyone can attend. We've had a variety of people from roundtable commissioners to council executives just come and learn everything they can about Cubs, which is what it's offered for. And then what you will learn, this is the standard answer, and I'll tell you a little bit in my own words here as we get through my pictures. But if you're excited and you want to learn more about the procedures, about the Cub Scout program, what works, what doesn't work, idea sharing, getting to know more people in the community, and really just everything Cub Scouting, then this is the adventure for you. It's all over 5 days, and you really get immersed in Cub Scouting. You start out as a member of a den, and you are with your den the entire time, learning in both group sessions as well as individual den sessions. So you're allowed to interact with many different people and learn from a variety of experts who have successful programs. So let me get to my pictures, because this is where it gets exciting. I learned so much at Akela's Council. I didn't even know what I didn't know. So they dive into every element of the program, from citizenship to ceremonies to fundraising to recruiting. And then they go over this picture down below, the different building blocks of a great program and planning. So creative. The showmanship is just there. It's just top level scouting experience. You really feel like the instructors and the staff have put the time and the effort to give you the best experience possible so you can keep the energy up the entire time. Lots of costumes. As you know, Cubs love costumes. They really show. how exciting it is to just have fun in Cubs. There is some great opportunity for us to share our own knowledge. We did do, as mentioned earlier, the cast iron chef and how to build a campfire. That was one of the activities, and we dressed up in a chef coat and had a lot of fun. This is Will, who was a member of my den, doing a den presentation. And then over on the right, I know it's a little blurry, but this is a video I took a screenshot from for our instructor, Mirinda, teaching the 7 principles of leave no trace for kids. And she did it about 5 times, because every time she did it, someone wanted to get their camera up and didn't have it recording. So we did it over and over again. And it was just so much fun to learn, because many of the participants had never even heard of the hand tricks with the 1, know before you go, 2, travel on the right path, it was just so much fun. And they made a custom hang tag for everybody out of wood and laser, and we all got to take it home with us. So it was really a great experience. They did focus on outdoor ethics and how we can implement an outdoor ethics program in each of our dens. We also learned about those great yearly activities that happen in your dens and performed them all in your pack, such as the Rain Getter Regatta, the Cub Annapolis, and Paper Rockets. I had never done any of these activities before, so it was really great to do them with like-minded individuals as adults, have a lot of fun, and then take that knowledge back to my pack so we can have similar activities. And then there were the Neckerchief Slides. I could not believe the creativity and the ease of being able to make these Neckerchief slides. Cubs love slides, and I've already learned that in the last year since I took this course, and I make custom slides now for my pack at every pack meeting, and the kids just love it. And I make sure it's themed to whatever our theme is. And so I really adopted this as one skill I took home with me and have chosen to keep it going. We learned about using various materials and as well as making plaster slides. So much fun there. I now have a collection probably twice as big as this now. And this is not my collection. This is one of the instructors, but now I have a collection that big. Overall, we just had a wonderful experience from learning about knots, learning about campfire programs, blue and gold banquets. The instruction was just amazing. Just a little side note here, for those of you that are not in Utah, which I know there's a lot of you here on this call, this man here on the bottom left, his name was Will, and he got nicknamed Will from Wisconsin because he traveled all the way from Wisconsin to attend this training with us and had the time of his life and took everything that he learned back home to his pack and his council, and he highly recommends Akela's council to everyone in his neck of the woods and anyone who wants to travel. As far as I'm aware, it's only offered in Utah, but I am sure that if you talk with the right people here, we would be happy to introduce this program across the country because it's so successful. And here's everything I took home. No joke. I got so much swag so I could kick off my program well and really start interacting with my leaders. And I had so much fun, unforgettable experience. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to akelascouncil.com. Next year's Akela's Council, if you want to make the road trip, plan ahead now. It is August 24th and 27th of 2022 at Camp Tracy. And you can register at utahscouts.org/Akela's Council. That's my presentation. Back to you.
Okay, so Nicole, would you be here still? Is she here? Does anybody see her?
She just emailed and said she had the wrong link.
Okay, could you send her a link? And Shanae, you're up. Shanae's going to tell us a story about something that's not very exciting, but it's very near and dear to her heart. And it's all about traveling as a day camp. Shanae.
All right. So in Utah, Utah is now 3 councils combined into the Crossroads of the West. When I was on the traveling day camp staff, it was the Trapper Trails Council, which covered basically Ogden, north up into Idaho, and then clear over into Wyoming. Now, because of that, there were huge chunks of our council that were hours and hours away from any kind of council camp. So we would take day camp to our Cub Scouts so that they wouldn't have to travel multiple hours to get to a council camp. The way we did this is we had a utility trailer, like a really big utility trailer, and it had all these great shelves built into it. I really wish I had a picture of this trailer because it was awe-inspiring, seriously. We had everything that we would need so that no matter where we went, we had tables, we had pop-ups, we had some chairs, we had all the materials. Each activity that we did had a tub that we would then put all the materials into it. Now, because all of our staff were volunteers, we were able to take the entire amount of the funds that the Cubs paid to attend day camp and invest that in materials. So we didn't have to pay any volunteers, and we also didn't have to pay for any camps or anything like that. So we were able to really invest in the activities that we did with the kids. And each year we would have a theme. And the reason you do a theme is kind of tie everything together. So the year that we did almost a Harry Potter theme, we would name things like herbology, potions and spells, that kind of thing, so that as we went through those activities, they were a lot more fun and they all tied together into this really fun theme. Another thing we did is the staff had actual shirts. This is sadly the only shirt I kept, but the staff would get a shirt every year and it would reflect the theme of the day camp for that year. This was the very last year and it was just a generic shirt, but other shirts had like Mario video game theme. We had like Finding Nemo theme, that kind of stuff, so that people attending the camp could easily find a staff member. Okay, then because we weren't a real council camp, we didn't really have a patch. So instead what we did is we gave each youth that arrived, they would get a little wood slice like this on a string. And then as they went to each activity, there would be a bead for each one of those activities and they would get to put it on that string. And then the staff would also wear little wood slices too that had our name on both sides, so that if it flipped around, they could still see what our name was. So that was a lot of fun for the kids to do. And then we also would do leather working. So they would get a round patch and we had a whole bunch of leather working materials so that they could then put their name on it. They could decorate it with like animal prints or different kinds of nature related stamps. Another activity we did was called Good Turn Coins. So we would give each leader a baggie of just those little plastic gold coins, you know, like you get at a dollar store. And as the leaders would see their youth doing something that was a good turn, like picking up a piece of trash or being kind to somebody else or helping a leader or whatever, the leaders could give them that coin and then they would turn it in at the end of the camp to the trading post. So trading post, this was of course everybody's favorite activity, just like it is at every camp. Our trading post, we would set it up on some tables and we'd have things like pocket knives. And if a youth purchased a pocket knife, it went in a baggie with that youth's name on it and their unit number. And then the baggie was given to a leader so that the youth weren't wandering around with pocket knives during camp. We also had things like bear claws, arrowheads. Let me look. We had various toys. We had drinks because we were in pretty warm locations. A couple of our locations were very, very hot. And so drinks were a big necessity. We had big 5-gallon jugs at every station as well so that they could refill water bottles. But we had drinks like Gatorade, stuff like that. And then of course candy, because if you don't go home from day camp completely wired, it was just no fun. So some of the activities we did always started with a flag ceremony, which was, you know, the pledge and the law and the oath and everything. We would have a campfire program. Now our tigers, wolves, and bears for this particular camp were not overnight. They were just a day camp. So 8 a.m. to about 3 p.m. So during lunch, we would have a campfire program. We would hand out a little songbook at the beginning of camp when the leaders arrived, and each unit was requested to choose a song or a joke or something that they could perform during the campfire program at lunch. The Webelos, however, had an overnighter option. In Wyoming, they did. In Utah, the Webelos was a day program because at that point in time, most of our Utah units were members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and so they did not participate in Cub Scout camping activities. On the overnighter program, the campfire program would be after dinner, and the youth would have a little more time to kind of put together skits and that type of thing. We did a service project with each group. Most of the time that was picking up trash, because when you have that many kids, you know, you're going to generate a lot of trash. So they would pick up straw wrappers, candy wrappers, random things that got dropped on the ground. People lose their shoes. I don't know how you lose your shoes at Cub Scout camp, but we always found shoes, hats, Cub Scout shirts, all that kind of stuff was picked up. We would do a whittling chip activity for the older kids, the Webelos. We didn't do it at the tiger wolf Webelos or tiger wolf bear, because the tigers and the wolves don't do whittling chip. So we only did that with the Webelos group. We would do archery, BB guns, and wrist rockets at every camp with both groups. We had a range master, so we were approved by the council to have those, and those items were kept in the day camp trailer. So we had BB guns, we had bows and arrows, and we had slingshots in the trailer. We often did like the rockets, you know, where you build a tube of paper and you close off one end, and then you can either use an air compressor or you can stomp on a 2-liter pop bottle. And those were always a really popular thing to do. Like I said, we did leather work. We did several art projects. We would do knot tying and whipping the ends of ropes. We also had Legos in the trailer, and that was always a great activity because they would build cars and then race them. They would build art projects kind of thing out of Legos. We would do a bunch of games. So one of the stations would always be an obstacle course, and then we always had opening activities that were games. With the Webelos, we did fire lighting. So they would have to light a cotton ball dipped in Vaseline with a flint and steel. And that can either go really well or it can lead to tears. So just be prepared for that one. And then because we were cooking with our Webelos, on the overnighter Webelos, they would have to build a fire. So at night we would cook hot dogs, and then during the for breakfast they would do the Mountain Man casserole dinner in the Dutch ovens, and the Webelos did all the work for that. They did all the eggs, the hash browns, the bacon. They sat there and they cooked it. So it was their project. They did the work. We did do swimming every other year. We had access to some swimming pools in Evanston, Wyoming, and in Garden City, Utah. And then every year we would also plant a seed in a baggie. Okay, because we were able to invest a lot more of our funds in the activities, we were able to complete a lot more adventures than most council sponsored day camps, especially the ones in Utah. Ones in Utah for Trapper Trails were mostly go do a bunch of fun activities, especially the ones that have to be done at a council camp, such as BB gun and archery. They also do like BMX and rock climbing and all that kind of stuff. Whereas we didn't have a rock wall, we didn't have a BMX course, we didn't have kayaks, canoes. So we would complete a lot of adventures. We always completed a lot of the outdoor type adventures. So the things that were like the nature hike, IDing different plants and things like that, talking about all kinds of buddy system, the campfire program. So Leave No Trace and the Outdoor Code were a huge part of our traveling day camp. And we spent a lot of time learning that. In fact, it was one of the sections. The whole section was all about Leave No Trace and the Outdoor Code. So we spent a good half hour just focusing on that and learning those fun hand actions and discussing each one in a way that was fun for the Cub Scouts and having like some props and things like that. With the Webelos, we did a lot of the ones like the Into the Woods and the Scouting Adventures, the cooking, but we also did all of the first responder stuff. So we did a whole bunch of first aid for the Webelos camp. Okay, I think that was most of the points that I wanted to make. So the traveling day camp is a fantastic opportunity for you to take day camp to kids that are just too far away from everything. The camp we did in Green River, the kids from Green River itself were a good 4 hours away from the closest day camp. Rock Springs is even an hour past that. So this was an opportunity for them to be able to do the fun things that you have to do at a council camp, like the BB gun and the archery. But they didn't have to travel for an entire day to get there. So if you have Cub Scouts that are seriously out in the middle of nowhere, consider doing a traveling day camp. And if you're curious about it, Crossroads of the West is still doing a traveling day camp. I'm not currently involved on the staff for that one. I have moved on to Blue. So, but they take their camp to central Utah, to eastern Utah, back to Wyoming, and also to southern Utah, all places where where a day camp is just too far away to take your cubs. They still do archery and BB gun. They do nature, they do leather, they do obstacle course, they do games, and they're doing beadwork, and they're also doing a regatta, a rain gutter regatta. And you can actually see that information if you go to UtahScouts.org, which is the Crossroads of the West Council's website. And then if you go to camps, it will actually bring up traveling day camp, and you can find the leader guide for that so that you can get an idea of how Utah is running a traveling day camp. Okay, is Nicole back?
I have a quick question. Do you guys have the same team go to each camp, or does the stuff go and they have a team there that implements it?
When I was on staff, we were the same team. So we did 3 different camps. We did Garden City, Utah. We did Pioneer Trails, Wyoming, near Green River. And then we also did Evanston, Wyoming. And so we just did basically 2 weekends in June and then 1 weekend in July. I'm not sure if the same staff is doing all of the traveling day camps for the current version. Anybody else? Are we ready?
Okay, then. Thank you very much, Shanae. That was very nice. Matt, did we get Nicole?
I sent her the link. She emailed me back and said, thank you. Whether she's here or not, I don't know. Let me look through.
She's here.
Oh, Nicole's here. Oh, okay. Cool.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Just wake up.
I couldn't get to the link. I'm so sorry.
Well, Nicole is a good friend of mine. We miss her talented energy in my council. She did these things in the California Inland Empire Council, but she is still the dynamo she's always been. And she has a PowerPoint and some fun stuff to show you from the Big Cat Weekend.
Yeah. Does everybody have access to the Google Drive that has the Big Cat Weekend PowerPoint?
Do you want to show it for her, Paula?
I can.
She has it already set up for you, Nicole.
Perfect. So for the last, I recently moved to Arizona, but for the last 6 to 7 years, I was the director of Big Cat Weekend. And can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear
we
you.
can hear you.
Yeah, sorry, my screen froze. There it goes. Big Cat Weekend is a tiger overnighter. So if you can go to the next slide, please. It is a specific overnighter for lions and tigers. It is a one-on-one. There's no getting out of that. And a lot of the times my parents would be like, well, I've got 2 kids and the requirement is one-on-one. So you do have to be firm with that. But I also had an additional charge, like if 2 parents wanted to come with one child, that was totally fine. But I did not have siblings. I did have siblings in the past, and they actually took away from the program. So for the last 3 or 4 years, I actually eliminated siblings because it was just taking away from our little guys, and I wasn't happy with that. But anyway, it is an overnighter, and they do pass off achievements, which you guys will see what my program was like. And we always, no matter what I do, I always include leave no trace principles. Even at the school that I work with, when I'm on the playground with the kids, I'm always saying, go pick up 5 pieces of trash and I'll give you a Starburst. So it's something dear to my heart. So I'm always including leave no trace in anything that I do. Can you please go to the next slide? So this is just a quick rundown of what our day was like. We would get to camp and they would set up, and we would have a snack and some gathering activities and stuff like that, and just kind of let them chill for a little bit. And then we would have lunch, and then we would start our program. And they were really simple. We would have a nature, which is always our leave no trace in our outdoor ethics. We would have an arts and craft, and it could be just something super simple that the kids, again, they're 5 to 7 year olds, so they have to be super quick and super cute and all of that. But and then the next one was Scout Spirit, which is our skits for the night at campfire. They do skits, and we have a great time. And then there was like a game time where it was just all sorts of fun, different games. I had 3 different games going at the same time in that rotation, and then they could just do like a little round robin, but it got the wiggles out and it was something different for them to do. And then there was a cope course that we did. And of course it wasn't too strenuous because, again, they're little. And then we had a mini hike. Now the mini hike is super cute. It's a 1-foot hike, but I had a little sheet where they could check off all the things that they could possibly see: a pine needle, a leaf, a bug, a bird, whatever it might be. And then we did the Bobcat Trail, which was, of course, learning the Scout Oath and Law, and I had some fun activities with that as well. Then we went to dinner, and then we had a little bit of downtime, and I always encouraged my staff to go visit each of the campsites just to make sure that everybody was okay. And then we had campfire, which who doesn't like a good campfire? I love campfires. And then, of course, everybody likes Cracker Barrel, because who doesn't like Cracker Barrel? And then we did lights out. And because they're little, 9:30 is kind of, late for the little guys, but they certainly had a good time. And then the next morning was just a closing ceremony where they would get their patches and an achievement list and their any other fun stuff that they had. And then breakfast was just like breakfast burritos or breakfast bars that they could just grab and be on their way. And so it was just so much fun. And it's such an easy camp that you can do. I chose not to do BB gun and archery because they do that at day camp. And where I held my camp, it was kind of a little bit of a hike for the little guys. So I chose not to do that, but you could certainly implement that. Can you move to the next screen? So this is something that I live by. It's something I'm very passionate about. I'll probably get emotional right here, but there really is no reason why we cannot add leave no trace in outdoor ethics to any activity that we do, whether it's a 5-minute meeting, whether we're meeting at a park, whether we're meeting at somebody's house. We always need to include those principles. And if you think that these little tiny Cub Scouts can't really understand those principles, I'm here to tell you that that is not true. So please, please, please talk about it. Can you go to the next slide? So these tubes, they're about 4 feet tall and about 8 inches round. And I visited Australia a few years ago, and we just happened to have lunch at this beach to get our fish and chips. And I came across these tubes and they were amazing. So in each of these tubes, and if any of you want these pictures, I will be happy, just email me and I can send them to you. But each of these tubes in a 3-month period on this beach in Newcastle, Australia, they collected all of these things. There's cigarette butts, there's fishing buoy and line, there's lollipops, balloons, stringers. Oh, there's just styrofoam flip-flops, canvas bags, plastic bags. And each of these had a little tiny placard at the bottom that, if you can go to the next screen. Each of these tubes had an associated verbiage, for lack of a better word, that actually says how long it takes to decompose and what it behaves like for instance, in the ocean, a plastic bag, especially the white plastic bags, it mimics jellyfish. So then you've got sea turtles who see the jellyfish and think yum. And so they go and they eat the bag. And then, of course, they can't process it, and then they die. And then another larger fish will come along and eat the dead turtle. And then, lo and behold, now they've got plastic bag inside of them, and they die. And then another fish comes along. So you can see what I'm saying. It's a life cycle where this bag just kills many, 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 many animals for not using the proper disposal of plastic bags. If you can go to the next one. So after showing those pictures, and I have several of them, I just had little cards that just said 5 years, 1,000 years, 500 years, you could do 25 years, whatever. And then you just, on a blue, with blue painter tape, you have the kids just stick them on what they think the decomposing years are. And then we talked about it, about grocery bags, about the cigarette lighters, the flip-flops, and all of these things. And we were able to see what kind of damage that these do to our environment. If you can go to the next one. And then we talked about leave no trace principles some more, and just kind of, do a little cross, and like we all do. This whole rotation was a half an hour. So we talked about the principles, we looked at the pictures and did the decomposing, then we did this. And then if you go to the next screen, we made flip books. These little flip books don't take much, and they're great takeaways that they can put on their backpacks, they can put on their jackets, they can wherever they want to put it. But these little flip books took nothing to make. They're just 3x5 cards. They cut them out, they glue them, and then you can take whatever kind of stickers. I found woodland stickers that had like little campfires and things like that they could decorate. But this was so huge because I did it one year, and the very next year I had kids bring these cards with them for the next year. And it is just such a cute little way for them to remember it. They can pull it out at their den meetings and talk about it. And it really only took 10 minutes to do. It was super cute. Can you go to the next, please? So this is my contact information. Any of the things that you've seen, if you want copies of them, I'm more than happy to send them to you. I can upload them into a Google Drive and give you access. But this is my contact information. So if you want it, there it is. The next one, please. And I'll just leave you with, please, please, please talk to your cubbies, get them involved. They're more than capable of understanding these principles. They can do it. I've seen it time and time again, and it really starts with us. So please pass it along. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Nicole, if you could send those things to me that you were talking about, we can put them on the website with the rest of the videos and all of that, and it can all be in one place for them.
Perfect. I will get right on that.
Oh, I know you will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Paula now has something very cool to show us that she uses at her day camp. It's not a traveling trainer, it's a traveling resource. Paula?
So this is what we call Bigfoot's bucket. Nothing real special about this. This is a Lowe's bucket. We picked that because it's blue. And if anybody has a Cricut machine, they can create the little sticker there for the outside. And it just contains all kinds of outdoor ethics activities, much like what we talked about earlier. But we kind of piggybacked off of things like the peak packs and created something that looked like that. And sometimes we actually use those. But we use a lot of resources that were online, things out of the Bigfoot's playbook, and some activities that I just learned about over the years. And the criteria that we used to put in the bucket was every activity had to fit into a little plastic folder, and all of the materials needed for that activity had to be in the folder. And I think I fit about 8 of these folders or packets in the bucket. I've got a couple of posters that kind of wrap around the inside edge. One has the Leave No Trace principles. The other one has the outdoor code. And we, in our council, we make these available for districts to check out for their day camps. And I will run the leaders through just a little bit of a training to show them how to use the activities. And I have been since told that's really overkill, because they just take it and hand it off to the scout that's helping with day camp. So from what I've heard, of what I've been told, that is that youth actually run these activities for day camp. And they've been very successful. And since then, I've had people asking me, hey, I've got a Cub Scout activity this weekend. Can I borrow a bucket? And I'm going, absolutely. So we've got them using them for weekend activities. Next spring, there's going to be a Cub Scout resident camp, or a couple of them, during spring break, and they're going to use those there as well. So we make these available. There's nothing special about them other than I just pulled a lot of activities together. So this is something that could be copied, and I believe these will be made available. The activities will be made available as well after this.
Very
And
cool.
that is all I had for that.
So Paula, do you change the information every year so that it doesn't have the same thing in the bucket every year?
The first 2 years I did. I probably will not this year because it took a lot of work to do that. But and plus it's pretty much all out of my pocket right now. So if it works, I'm not going to change them out. And I've also been told I've got like 8 activities in there, and they say we really don't have time, but just for a couple. So if they've already used one year, they can pick another one, another couple. So I maybe every other year or something, I'll swap them out. But
Very awesome, Paula. Nice idea. I'm sure everybody can use that somehow.
And that was Chandra's idea, not my idea, but
Well, you take
it's
credit
worked.
for it because you're on the show.
Okay.
Okay, so now the next, okay, would you do this one?
Okay. So these are just a few of the resources that we pulled, where we got some of the activities that we came up with. And we've got about 3 different places off of the Leave No Trace website. During COVID, they created a lot of resources. So there's a youth educator library that has activities in it. There's actually core curriculum materials for students. And then there's also a video library. So those links are in there, and those will be made available. Of course, the Outdoor Ethics BSA website, and most of the materials from tonight will be posted on the roundtable part of that. Oops. And there is also resources available from the Smoky Bear site. And I've looked at those. Those are really good. And Project Learning Tree. We've got some that they will actually be part of the Google Drive with our activities, the Project Learning Tree resources. And they've got a really good one in there on the Lorax, the book, The Lorax. And the Brand Center, a lot of the pictures that we pulled from for this PowerPoint, as well as all of the different the rank symbols, what rank badges we got from the Brand Center. And we just wanted to put that on there in case you did not know about it. There's a lot of resources in there.
Thank you, Paula. Now the next slide, Anne.
And this one's yours.
Would you like to tell us about the December roundtable and your pre-planning that you're doing?
Right, we're kicking off a hunt for some videos. We have a lot of the troops, crews, and ships use the Outdoor Ethic or Outdoor Education Guide. It's a youth position, and they have advisors. So we're trying to find the people that have implemented that position and find some of the things that they've done well and share it with the rest of us. So we're looking for videos that are, say, 3 to 5 minutes. They may answer some of the questions listed on this link. This went out on Monday. So share it with your troops, crews, anybody that has implemented this position, and send them to us at our email address that's up there. We do need a video release. So click on that, and anybody that's in the video needs to sign that and have a parent sign. And hopefully we get some cool things to show you guys, and we'll put that together in a roundtable coming up. Any questions? Are you guys good?
So did anybody, if you have any questions generally, a lot of the resource and everything that's in this roundtable will be on the outdoorethics-bsa.org website, along with these pieces. The PowerPoint will be there, and the video. Let's see. And so with that, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight, and we enjoyed your company.